engines up and burning. 2, 1, 0, and liftoff.
Coach on Fire Radio.
That's the way you do it. You play the guitar on MTV. That ain't working. That's the way you do it. Money for nothing and you choose for free. Now that ain't working. That's the way you do it. Let me tell you, damn guys ain't dumb. Maybe get a blister on your little finger. Maybe get a blister on your thumb. We got to install microwave ovens, custom kitchen deliveries. We got to move these refrigerators. We got to move these color TVs.
Financial disclaimer. The information provided in Broke is No Joke show and accompanying material is for informational purposes only. It should not be considered legal or financial advice. You should always consult with an attorney, advisor, or other professional to determine what may be best for your individual needs. Thank you and enjoy the show.
Good morning, champions. Hey, I know it might not be morning where you are, but as you know, if you've listened to the show before, it doesn't matter what time it is. When you have any time left in the day, it's always a good morning. Plus, it's a great state of mind to be in. Welcome to Broke is No Joke radio show, where teens and tweens will learn more about money, wealth, freedom than even their parents know. Unless, of course, the parents are listening in, which you parents are absolutely welcome and encouraged to do so. I'm Josh Zeppis. I'm freedom fighter, principal on Broker, and founder of Lifesaver Leadership Development, and I'm glad you're here. Okay, so riddle me this. Which American president was the least guilty? Any thoughts out there? Actually, the answer is Lincoln. Why? Because he was innocent. You guys get that? Innocent. All right. If you didn't get that one, you get it on the way home, I promise. Now, that was funny, though. Come on. That was real funny. But you know what? Being broke isn't. So I'm excited for you. And we have a great show planned. We have an amazing guest later in the show who's setting the example for women in technology. So definitely stick around for that. And we have some fun things to discuss and a whole lot to learn. So also be sure to join our Facebook group, Broke is No Joke. Get on our Facebook page. Become part of our community at brokeisnojoke.org. And remember, associations are everything. And if you're going to become just like those things you hang out with, well, you might as well hang out with us, right? So, by the way, if you're watching this on video, how do you like my new shirt? We got a new Broke is No Joke t-shirts, coffee mugs, lots of fun stuff on our website. We have a store on there. So go ahead and check that out. And again, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, I just want to commend you for listening in today. And I want you to know that you really are champions. I don't say that lightly. You know, you could be watching TV, you could be playing some video games, doing all kinds of other things that don't improve you, your schooling, your business, if you're a parent out there, your career. And for that, I'm honored, right? And I take that responsibility very seriously. So I promise this show is going to be worth your time, which is your life, right? Worth your life here today. Because the last thing I'm going to do is waste anyone's time, because I don't want to waste anyone's life. So I do value that, guys. And I hope you value your life as well and spend your time wisely. And of course, as always, I just ask that you start with an open mind. Take the good, toss away the bad. I'm not looking for you to agree with me. And you know what? Believe it or not, and my wife will attest to this, I may not always be right. But you know what? Together we can challenge each other, which can only make both of us better in the long run. And finally, I want to ask your permission. I want to talk to you like adults. And by the way, I'm saying this to the teens and to the adults. I just believe that sometimes us adults treat you younger folks like you have no clue. But I know you have ideas. I know you have creativity, persistence, mental toughness, intelligence, and I think you can handle it. So we're going to talk for real, like, the reals, right? It's going to get a little controversial sometimes, that's okay. As long as we're honest and we're genuine in our discussion, no topic should be off limits. Will it sound sometimes maybe a little cuckoo, a little weird from some of the things you've been told? Yeah, probably. But here's the thing. You could be weird and rich, or you could be broke and cool, right? And the choice is yours. So, and by the way, I really do encourage you to get your parents to the radio as well. Share this with them. You don't have to actually listen together at the same time, but go ahead and forward the podcast to them. Let them know what's going on, because you may not always like them, but they are the reason you're here. So let's have a little bit of gratitude. And, some of us we don't have our parents anymore. Some of us have parents that aren't doing so well, but deep down, when we have our parents around us, they do actually care about us, right? And they're working hard. You guys see this. If you're a young person listening right now, your parents are working hard, maybe 2 or 3 jobs, constantly stressed out about money, fighting about money. And it's because they've just never had the chance to learn those things that you're going to learn on this program over time. So right now, they need your help, right? Get them to the radio, get them to join our community, get them, we need to grow together as families. We need to grow together as people. And what happens when we grow together and money isn't the number one stress anymore in the household, in your life? Man, I tell you, teens become better teens. Parents become better parents. Because you know what? When you're stressed about money, you're just not the same, right? It's just not you being yourself. So grab a cup of cocoa, right? I got my coffee here, gather on the radio, and let's go ahead and build an amazing life. After all, don't you deserve it? They say you have one life to live, but if you do it right, that really should be all you need. News you can use. So hot off the press, breaking news. Here we go. Just a couple of quick stories I want to share with you guys. This is the really cool stuff. So the first one comes from U.S. News and World Report, August 30th, and it's titled, "Do Millennials Have Their Spending Priorities All Wrong?" Oh my goodness, already the title's kind of controversial. It's like, what the heck are they talking about? But here's this is crazy. So the very first sentence in the entire thing, millennials expect to spend more on their dog over their pet's lifetime than they will on their own lifetime healthcare costs. Really, guys? Is that true? That almost floored me when I saw that. So millennials think they're going to spend more on their dog over their pet's lifetime than their own lifetime healthcare costs. Boy, first of all, I don't know if dogs are living longer or what's going on, but I hope not, right? We're going to live longer. We're probably going to have more healthcare costs, and this is a survey of 1,500 millennials, right? And what they're saying is they think millennials are underestimating, maybe because they're young and health issues are so far away, but they're underestimating what it's going to cost them. And so they make some interesting points in this article. Now, the one thing I want to share with you guys here, there was another survey done inside this article. And by the way, I'm going to post this article on our show notes and our site. So if you want to check this article out, feel free. But this is kind of crazy. A 2017 survey of 1,000 people by Charles Schwab found that 81% of millennials were somewhat or very confident in their ability to meet financial goals. 81% of millennials said, yeah, I know what I'm doing with money. I'm good. Everything's great. I can do it. No problem. Right? Which is fine. And that sounds like a great number, doesn't it? But the problem is the data, when you actually look at what millennials are doing with their money, it's kind of paints a different picture. It's the same exact survey says 60% of millennials buy coffee that costs more than $4 per cup. 69%, over 2/3, buy clothes they don't necessarily need, and 76% will spend money on the latest electronic gadget. So what's happening here, the confidence that millennials have isn't equaling the competence that they have. You guys catch that? So there's a lot of high level of confidence in what they're doing, but there's not as much, kind of a lower level of competence in knowing exactly what they're doing. And this is scary. And I'll tell you why this is scary for me. And I see this in my career as well, that there's a gap between if you think you're doing the right thing, but you're not doing the right thing, you're not going to find out until it's too late. Right? It's not like you go into something, you're like, well, I'm not sure what I'm doing. I better learn. When you think you're doing the right thing, you're not going to learn anything. You just think you know it already. And then once you actually, the proverbial poop hits the fan, when life does happen, all of a sudden bam, you just found out that what you thought you knew, you didn't know. And then everything comes crashing down. And that's why this is scary. So guys, we got to make a change here. We got to start learning this stuff. We got to start learning about money and wealth and make sure that our confidence meets our competence, right? All right. One last thing for this article that I want to share. A couple more things. And we might want to sit down for this one. More than a quarter of millennials spend more each month on coffee than they do on their retirement savings, according to a 2018 survey of 1,000 millennials. Also, 1/3 of millennials spend more on clothes than retirement, and half of millennials spend more eating out than they put towards retirement. Now, I'm not going to be the person to say don't eat out, don't buy clothes, don't have coffee. Believe me, I am a fan of coffee, I promise. But when we're spending more money on things that ultimately don't matter, right, that aren't quite as important, and we're sacrificing our longer term outlook, it's only a matter of time before we got to pay the piper, guys. And so this is just kind of a warning sign. I'm throwing it out there. This is not a judgment. Remember, this show is not about judgment. It's not about telling you you're doing something wrong. It's just exposing the truth, let's start that discussion. Let's make sure we're going to be doing the right thing. And the last thing this article I want to share, which I think is actually kudos to millennials in particular, it says home ownership is not a priority for the millennials. It's saying that millennials aren't looking to start owning homes. They don't see it necessarily as a great investment. And I'll be honest, and the parents on this call, some of the older folks on this call may disagree with me, but I think you guys are on track. I don't think that's such a bad thing. I think home ownership has just got a little more shine to it than actual substance. And not saying don't own a home. That is not what I'm saying. But you might want to look at the numbers. You might want to if you're doing it for an investment, you might want to check it out. But so kudos for you guys for thinking outside the box when it comes to home ownership. That actually is a really big deal. One other article I'm going to share real quick from the New York Times, also from September of this year. And the name of the article is How to Retire with $1 million in the Bank, which, by the way, is going to be our show topic today, is $1 million. So how to retire with $1 million in the bank. So the article opens up with this guy named Carl Jensen, right? Carl Jensen, a software engineer out in Denver. And he was doing okay, just making just over 6 figures a year. And then one day he decided, I want to retire early. I want out of this thing. So he saved, and he and his wife, they saved a sizable portion of their income for 5 years. And they reduced their expenses for 5 years. Okay? Not 10, 15, 20. They didn't work 50 years. 5 years. They just made a decision, and they ended up with a net worth after those 5 years of $1.2 million. 5 years, millionaires in 5 years, guys. How awesome is that? Kudos to them. And by the way, if they can do it, why can't we? So it's interesting. So it says on Tuesday, March 10th, 2017, Mr. Jensen called his boss, gave his notice after 15 years at the company. He wasn't quitting. He just retired. And he was 43 years old, which, by the way, is that's my age. So think about that. How would you like to fire your boss, by the way? How would that feel to say, boss, get the heck out of here? By the way, I did that. I did that at 38 years old. I fired my boss. I went and I said, Alex, you got to find my replacement. I'm out. Thank you for your kind management. I appreciate it. I like you, but you guys can't afford me anymore. And I left. So I tell you, it's a really good feeling. But what a great example of how to become a millionaire in 5 years. Now, obviously, he's not going into this, just the exact plan he did. And that's something we're going to talk about, how to do that in a future show. So definitely make sure you stay with us. But I just want you guys to see that it's possible, right? It's possible. Another example, Miss Shen, married couple from Toronto, Christy and Bryce Shen, and they retired in their early 30s. And this is interesting. I want you guys to hear this very clearly. Miss Shen, her wake-up moment came when she watched a fellow IT colleague collapse at his desk after clocking 14-hour days. And the guy who collapsed got hauled